We always thought werewolves were just legends, until one day we encountered a real werewolf on campus. Chapter 20. *The Friday's POV. The car ride back to school was full of chatter. Lucy was telling Dennis how Jamie got his first detention on the first day of school. Dennis was still complaining that he can't find Sir Dennis, and I was quietly listening, speaking when needed. Dennis pulled up in the school parking lot and we got out of the car. Looking around, I did not see Jamie. The car park was deserted. So, where did Jamie go? Dennis asked, voicing my thoughts. Lucy shrugged. Let's see if the front doors are open. Dennis tested the doors and they opened easily. He held the door open and bowed. Madams, he said with a horrible English accent. Lucy laughed and did a small curtsy. Thank you, kind sir. Let's find Jamie now. That seemed to snap Dennis out of the trance he was in. Yes, we shall go find the good lad Jamie. He pointed down the hall and took Lucy's hand, dragging her away. I rolled my eyes. Whenever I was around Dennis, I always felt like the parent. I jogged to catch up with them. As I turned the corner, I couldn't help but feel like something is not right. It felt like I was being watched. I shook my head, amused that I would think something like that. Then I spotted Lucy and Dennis not too far ahead. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Lucy was pushed up against the lockers, lip locked with Dennis. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm not gonna question them. I walked past the couple and continued my search for Jamie. When I saw that a classroom light was on, I peeked into it and saw Jamie. He had made a fortress of textbooks. There was a textbook, standing open with a bunch of other textbooks used as a pillow. He was sleeping with his head resting on the books, and he had a little bit of drool sliding out of his mouth. I looked around and saw that there were no teachers around. I walked to where Jamie was sleeping and shook him by his shoulder. He groaned and buried his head into his arms. I shook him again. This time, I didn't do it. It was Cole. He stole it. I shook him harder and got the same response. Getting irritated, I shoved him off the chair. When he landed on the ground, Jamie let out a groan and sat up, rubbing his butt. When he spotted me looming over him with an evil smile on my face. Come on. I think the teachers left you by yourself. I offered him my hand and he took it. I called him up and looked around the room. Jamie scratched the back of his head and let out a loud yawn. They ditched me. I guess so. He lets out a snort. Teachers these days. Did anyone come with you? I pointed to the doorway. They are making out in the hallway. Jamie nodded. Makes sense for them to come. If they were kissing around the boys, they would tell Ennis that he is whipped and would start making kissing noises. I raised my eyebrows at him. Like you don't do that. He feigned a hurt expression. Riley, I'm so hurt that you would think such a thing of me. I don't like to have friends that lie. I don't lie. Why? I beg to differ. We both know that Cole is horrible at thievery. I said, mentioning his sleep-talking. I walked out the classroom and heard him shout. That was the fate truth. You know that people say gibberish when they are sleep-talking. Whatever you say, I chuckled. As I walked past the kissing couple, they didn't acknowledge my presence but continued swapping spit. I strolled down the silent hallway and burst open the front doors. I breathed in the fresh air and looked around the football field. My eyes landed on something that made my breath catch. Enthusiasm. In the middle of the field was a huge dark thing. I squinted and peered carefully. The loud menacing growl of the thing made me take a step back. It rose and I saw its yellow bloodthirsty eyes. It had fur that was matted with mud and blood. It bared its yellow teeth and my eyes widened when I finally noticed it was a wolf. I began to panic as it began its talk towards me. When its eyes went to look behind me, it growled and charged. It approached me so fast that I had little to no time to respond. It lunged at me and I closed my eyes just in time to hear a gunshot. I heard something heavy fall to the ground. A whimper and then silence. My eyes remained shut until I felt the hands go on my shoulders. Rai, are you okay? I hesitantly opened my eyes to meet a comforting sight. I saw Lucy's warm brown eyes looking at me in concern. I turned my head to the side and saw Dennis pocketing his gun. He gave me an amused smile. You're lucky we walked out in time. What happened to your training? If you happen to be like what you were just now, you won't survive. I nodded, still in shock. Guys, come look at this. I then noticed Jamie crouched over the wolf. We crowded around to take a closer look. It's bigger than most wolves, Lucy observed. No shit, Sherlock, Jamie said, rolling his eyes. We should bring this back so someone can take a look at it. Lucy ignored Jamie's comment. I got rope in the truck. Stay here, we'll get it. Dennis left us alone as we stared at the dead beast that had almost killed me. I stole a glance at them both. I saw Lucy staring at it with a look on her face, while Jamie had found a stick and was poking it. Okay. I got it. Dennis jogged up to us with a long piece of rope in his hands. We tied the wolf's legs together and Denny dragged it to the car. Once Dennis managed to load the wolf into the back. We drove straight to the hideout. Lucy made a quick call to Ben, tell him that we had a surprise for him that might require the other boys' strength. We parked the car in the garage of the house and I saw the boys waiting patiently. So what do you have? Ben asked, walking to us. You'll be surprised, Lucy said, opening the boot. Our splitting screams filled the garage. What happened to the wolf? I shrieked quickly, diverting my eyes from the sight in front of me. What are you guys doing with a dead naked man in the boot? Jared asked. I don't know. It was a wolf before. I promise you. To my agent extraordinaire, Myron Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Not able to look at the man. Surprise flashed in Jared's eyes and was gone as quick as it came. He walked to the dead man, leaned forward and took a whiff. Was he just killed? Jared asked. I nodded. Jared then said, do you guys mind? I need to check something and I do not want all of you breathing on me. Sure. We made our way out and went to the living room where we waited for Jared. When Jared joined us, we all stared at him expectantly. He took in a deep breath. He gazed at everyone before saying, that guy was a werewolf. Chapter 21, inviting her over. Riley's POV'd Ennis and Jamie began laughing loudly, slapping their knees. It soon died down when they saw the serious look on Jared's face. Oh, you're not joking? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Lubin. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Jamie gave an embarrassed smile to Jared, but Jared didn't seem amused. So how do you know werewolves exist? Ben asked. It was on a mission you sent me on, Jared said. I was walking in the forest because it was a shortcut to the house. I heard voices and growling. I decided to check on it. I saw some men talking and growling each other. On the ground was another dead and naked man. One of them radiated power, so I assumed he was the leader. The leader was saying things like, "Get off my land, Rouge." The Rouge then said, "Make me." They both shifted into wolves. The leader was much bigger than the other one, who got taken down easily. When the smaller one was killed, the two people watching also turned into wolves. They seemed to be communicating somehow and ran away. When I went to the already dead wolf, I examined it. It was really smelly and obviously bigger than any other normal wolf. Then, after a while, it shifted back into the man, but he was naked. We stared at him until Jamie spoke up. Continue the story. What happened after that? I heard a rustle somewhere in the bushes and ran away, Jared simply said. Jamie frowned. I thought you would start fighting an apocalypse of zombie werewolves. Sorry to disappoint you, Jamie. How do you teleport a human to a werewolf? Spencer asked. From what I had found in the internet, only a werewolf will be able to tell the difference. By their sense of smell. Are there any other important things we would need to know? Ben asked. Jared thought for a while. Yes, the werewolf's weakness is silver. If we make bullets that are made of silver, it would be deadly for them. But then when I shot the wolf, it died right away. There isn't any silver in my bullets. Your shot was just lucky. You shot the wolf in the head. Or else, the wolf would have just picked itself up and attacked you or whoever it was attacking. I shivered as I thought of getting my head chewed off if Dennis had not have a good aim. I caught Dennis's eye and mouthed. He nodded it in acknowledgement. Suddenly, a loud yawn broke through the silence of the room. Jamie stood up and stretched. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of learning about werewolves. Good night. When Jamie left, Justin said, Hey Cole. I believe I found your lucky boxers in my underwear drawer today. Cole narrowed his eyes at Justin. Do you know how many times it messed my lines up when talking to a girl? Justin put his hands up in surrender. It was me. I just happened to find it in my room. Just show me where it is. Cole grumbled. When they left, I made eye contact with Lucy. It has begun. She mouthed and I nodded in agreement. I guess he'll go to bed as well. Then said, Good night, guys. Spencer said, walking to me to plant a kiss on my forehead. See you in the morning. Kanda. By I called. Soon everyone had gone to their rooms. I had trouble falling asleep. I kept tossing and turning, trying to get into a comfortable position. Too many things were on my mind. It's amazing how your life can be totally different in a matter of days. I slowly but surely became unconscious. Ashton's POV. I walked into the kitchen to see everyone talking in hushed whispers. I went to Brandon. He was talking to Sophie about something. Why is everyone whispering? I questioned. Brandon gave me a confused look. You didn't hear. Riley was attacked by a rouge. The wolves who were on border patrol sniffed out the rouge. They followed it to school where they found blood trails. Riley's scent was there as well as other scents. They managed to clear the blood away, but they do not know where the rouge went. I let out a growl and the pack members surrounding me flinched back. No one messes with my mate. If he even touched a single hair on Riley's lovely head, he is going to have to face an angry alpha son. In going to school, I need to see if Riley is fine. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Brandon nodded. Ill-told Ed. I quickly chose a random car and drove to school. I got out of my car and waited on the school steps. I sniffed the air and it was confirmed that there was a rouge in my territory. I also smelled a faint trace of vanilla and other smells. So there was an attack. I growled but decided not to dwell on the fact that there was a rouge on my land. I thought of the rouge coming near my mate. That made me more desperate to see Riley. There were some students who were roaming around the front school. Some of them were giving me weird looks since I'm always with my siblings. I ignored them as more cars came in. I was disappointed again and again, getting really worried about Riley and her condition. My eyes lit up when I saw Eiley come out of a car. I looked at the driver and saw a blonde-haired guy. He was scowling as he got out. He said something to Cole and Cole looked irritated. Riley and Lucy looked amused. Riley's POV Dennis has been really grumpy ever since he found Sir Dennis in Cole's room. Cole insisted that he did not know it was there, but being the hard-headed guy he is, Dennis continued to accuse Cole of thievery. Lucy and I were watching the show from the sidelines trying to suppress our laughter when I heard my name called. Right when I turned, I was tackled into a hug. I heard Lucy softly chuckle and say, "Talk to Loverboy. You'll break up the fight. Hey Ashton." I awkwardly patted Ashton's back, not sure what to do. "Hey, are you okay?" Pulling back, I was confused. Yeah. Why do you ask?" He opened his mouth and closed it. He repeated the process a few more times until he came up with, "No reason. I just had a feeling that something is wrong." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We turned our heads and saw Lucy in between Cole and Dennis, trying to keep Dennis away from Cole. She looked at me in panic. "Riley, help. Dennis is going to trample me." "Hey Dennis," I yelled. "Unless you want your girlfriend to dump you, I suggest you get a grip." Dennis slowly calmed himself down and looked at Lucy in surprise as though he didn't see her there. "Sorry babe. I got carried away." He scratched the back of his neck sheepishly. Lucy scowled at him. "Next time you get carried away, I'm gonna carry away Sadeh's head from his body. You almost got me killed. Do you what it feels like to almost be run over by a baby elephant? As Lucy continued to scold Dennis. A small crowd had formed. So is this what it's like every day? Ashton asked softly into my ear. I had a hard time fighting back a shiver and remaining calm. Pretty much. So my mom asked if you'd like to come for dinner tomorrow. Ashton asked hesitantly. I need to ask Ben. I took out my phone and started texting Ben. Riles the panda, hey Ben. Is anything happening tomorrow? My phone soon lit up. Benny boy no. I gave Ashton a smile. Looks like I can go. He returned the smile with a bigger one. Great no. Spencer was so stubborn I feel like strangling him sometimes. What? Why? I questioned. Because he is a boy. Spencer replied back smartly. Spencer. I winned. Why? He mimicked me. We're just friends. Just friends. Yes, you. Spencer said. Doing air quotes. Yes, Spencer. Just friends, I stressed out. Soon you're gonna say. He just asked me on a date. He said in a high-pitched voice. I do not sound like that. I said, grounding my teeth together. It's just a friendly dinner with his family. Why does he want you to eat with his family? Because his mom wants to see me again. I said in a voice. So you've met his mother? Spencer cried out. I bumped into her while grocery shopping. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Tired of arguing, Spencer was about to say something when Jamie interrupted him. Spencer, why did you have my candy stash in your room? Spencer faced Jamie, who was a head shorter. What are you talking about? Oh, you know what I'm talking. Thief. Jamie pointed an accusing finger at him. I knew you stole my candy the moment it was missing. You were acting too innocent. Too dumb. But that didn't fool me. No, it didn't. I found my candy in your room. What were you doing in my room in the first place? Spencer asked. That made Jamie stumble. I just go take your candy. I didn't know I had it anyways. Spencer waved his hand dismissively. Jamie hurried away, leaving Spencer and I alone. So how did you meet his mother? Spencer asked, narrowing his eyes at me. Dad, I was immediately cut off when I mentioned our father. Don't call him that, Spencer said seriously. I nodded. As I was saying, he wanted me to go shopping. I was turning around the corner and then, boom, Spencer jumped and I started to laugh. Very funny. He scowled at me. I said with a triumphant smile. Spencer shook his head, amused, and began walking away. Wait. He turned around with a raised eyebrow. Yes, can I please go? I asked, giving my best puppy dog eyes. Spencer groaned. I knew he'd won. I pumped my fist in the air. Yes, I skipped to Lucy's room. I needed her advice on what to wear. I knocked on her door but didn't hear anything. I knocked louder. Nothing. Before I could knock again, the door swung open. I denounced an amused smile and took out my phone and quickly snapped a picture of him. He was shirtless and had bright pink lipstick smeared on his face. His hair looked as if he'd came out of a tornado and his breath was ragged. Having fun in there? I asked, forwarding the picture to everyone in the building. What are you doing? Dennis asked, trying to peek at my phone. His phone rang, signaling a text message. He narrowed his eyes at me before taking out his phone and checking the picture. Someone laughed behind him and Lucy came out looking at her phone. She must have cleaned herself up because she had no trace of makeup on her. Nice one her eye. She held up her hand. I high-fived her and smiled at Dennis, who was still looking at the picture. Here's your shirt, babe. She tossed him his shirt and gave him a peck on the cheek. We walked in and closed the door behind us. What's so important that you need to interrupt us? Lucy asked, sitting on her bed. I made myself comfortable on one of her beanbag chairs. I am having dinner with Ashton's family tomorrow, was all I need to say before Lucy was throwing clothes at me. Formal or casual on? I don't know, I said, biting my lip. You are so hopeless. Lucy shook her head. Do you have his number? I nodded. What are you waiting for? Text him. I quickly text him. Bryles the panda, is dinner gonna be formal or casual? Not a second later, I had a reply. Ashton the awesome, casual. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. LT3 it's casual, I said. Lucy nodded and rummaged in her closet. Why don't you use my clothes? I asked out of curiosity. Because all your clothes aren't cute. Lucy deadpanned. They aren't that bad. I muttered. But she heard me. Oh, if you were to look for something nice to wear in your closet, you'd find nothing. And this is a dinner for goodness sake. With his parents, scratch that, his whole family. Don't you want to look good in front of them? I don't think you'd like to look like a beggar. First impressions, dear. First impressions. Lucy trailed off. No offense, by the way. Lucy added. Too late. I already am offended. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nogan. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. How's this? Lucy showed me a set of clothes. That should make a good first impression. Thanks, Luce. No problem, she said, brushing it off. Tomorrow come back so I can do your makeup. I mentally cringed at the thought of sticky things painted onto my face but nodded. I left her room and went to the kitchen. Once I cooked some instant noodles. I went to the dining room. The dining room was like a huge cafeteria. We would order Chinese takeouts or pizza if anyone was too lazy to cook. I sat next to Jamie, who had littered candy wrappers everywhere. So you know what to wear tomorrow, Panda? Spencer asked, dropping on the seat next to me. I mumbled with a mouthful of noodles. It's hard for my mind to wrap around the fact that you are all grown up. It seemed like yesterday when you were asking for a second bowl of ice cream, and now you are going to have dinner with a boy I barely know. It's not just him, Spencer. It's his whole family. I corrected him. Whatever you say. He rolled his eyes. So tell me about this Ashton guy. Dennis said, sitting down along with everyone else. Do we have to use curfew? Do we need to tell him that you are off limits? Is he playing with you? Do you even like him? Ben asked, firing questions at me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Which with the sudden Big Brother act. One is enough, I said, although I was flattered that they cared. Now you know how I feel when I was in your position. That was mainly why I hooked up with Dennis, Lucy said from Dennis's lap. P.U.H., Lise. You know you love me, Dennis said, moving his head closer to her. She rolled her eyes and placed a hand on his face. In your dreams. Dennis captured her hand. You're right. You are in my dreams. Lucy blushed and pecked Dennis on his lips. Please no PDA. Especially when it has my sister involved. Cole groaned. Dude, you're just jealous that you can't get a girl to go out with you, Dennis said with a smirk in his face. Cole gave me a sly look. Riley, would you like to go on a date with me now? All seven eyes snapped to the girl on Dennis's lap. Lucy scowled at her brother. I'm sorry, brother dear. But she's already taken. Cole's face scrunched up in confusion. What do you mean? She's still single. Right. He looked at me, and before I could answer, Lucy beat me. Yes, she is. But her friend Ashton has already staked claim on her, Lucy said with a smile. How do you know? You barely talked to him, Cole said with narrowed eyes. Jared answered for Lucy. If you hadn't noticed how itchy glare at any boy you'd check Wiley out. I don't know what he's been doing. I even saw him beat someone up for checking out her ass. Cole let out a low whistle and turned to me. Don't date him, Riley. She is crazy in the head. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But the last time I checked, you weren't her father, Lucy said sharply. A moment later, her eyes widened and she sent me an apologetic look. I shook my head, not caring about the poor excuse of a father. My father was long gone. Just because you're still in Singlesville doesn't mean you have to drag other people down with you, Jamie said, looking up at Cole. says the boy who bad-mouthed about Dennis to Lucy. Cole snapped back. Ooh, shit's got real, Jared muttered, greatly amused. Sorry, Jamie, but a girl has got to gossip. And I didn't have any girlfriends that time, Lucy said, being the anchor that held Dennis down. You little piece of shit, Dennis yelled, about to launch himself at Jamie. As Dennis continued yelling profanities at Jamie, Lucy was trying to muffle them. The people sitting close to our table began giving us weird looks. Sorry, guys, Lucy said, covering Dennis's mouth. You know how boyfriends are. Some females nodded their heads in agreement. Jamie, why don't you go for a walk in the park or something? Ben said, indirectly saying that he needed to get the hell out of there before Dennis explodes. Yeah, good idea. Jamie quickly escaped the dining room. Run, you little twit. Don't think he'll forget easily. Dennis bellowed after him. So when did he badmouth Dennis? Spencer asked. Before Dennis and I got together, Lucy said, tossing Dennis a look. Dennis wrapped his arms around Lucy's waist, crushing her to his chest. We got into a pretty bad fight. He told me that he'd forgiven me and he knew I liked Lucy a lot. Dennis pouted. At least I didn't listen to him, Lucy said, shrugging. What did he say about Dennis? I asked, curiosity blooming. I could tell everyone wanted to know as well. Lucy fidgeted with her fingers. I don't really want Jamie to be killed. She looked at Dennis with an uneven look. You're right. I would kill him, Dennis said, leaning back in his chair. On the bright side of killing Jamie, it's one less lonely boy and one more lonely girl. More for me, Cole said, grinning. Very funny. Come on, Dennis. You need to cool off. Let's go to the shooting range, Jared said, standing. See you later, babe. Dennis gave Lucy a peck on her lips and followed Jared. I stood up. That was one of the most interesting dinners I've ever had. Good night, guys, and Lucy. Night, they called as I left the dining room. Once I'd finished doing my business, I made myself comfortable on my bed. I was nervous about meeting Ashton's parents. Sure, I know what his mom is like, but I don't know anything about his dad. Then my phone lit up from where it was charging. I picked it up, squinting at the bright light. It was a text. Chapter 22. What did he say? Ashton's POV. I walked into the kitchen in search of my mother. Mom in the living room, she called. I followed her voice and saw her braiding Jessica's hair. Can you tell Mom to stop torturing my hair? Jessica asked. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylan Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Stop moving. My mother tutty. But I can't be pampered. I'm a werewolf and werewolf don't get pretty. Except for Erin and her bimbo buddies. You aren't a wolf yet. You haven't shifted. 2 more years until you shift. Mother corrected her. I'm still faster than most 13-year-olds. Jessica mumbled. My mom ignored her and continued twisting her hair. Mom, I called her yes. My mother asked absently. Riley's coming for dinner tomorrow. That was all it took for my mother to rush out the room. Then I heard her from the mind link telling all the females to come to the kitchen. Jessica let out a sigh of relief. Thanks for saving me, Ashton. I don't know how much more I could have taken until I changed my gender. I don't think your mate would like to go gay, I said, giving her a smile. But you never know if my mate is a girl either. Jessica fired back smugly. My phone buzzed in my pocket and I pulled it out to see that it was a text from Riley. I eagerly opened it up to see that it was about the dinner. I quickly typed her a reply and saw Jessica looking at me with a disgusted look on her face. What? Oh, nothing. It's just disgusting to see my only mateless brother look so lovesick at the short text sent to him. Jessica said, when you find your mate, you will only be able to think of her. Him in your case. No one else will be more important than them. She scrunched her nose. That sounds so sappy. That's how you'll be with your mate. Come on, let's go for a walk. We walked in the forest, Jessica asking about mates and me answering her. What if I find my mate right now? Is that possible, or do you only find them when you turn 15? Jessica asked, using magic to flick a stick away from her path. You can find your mate right now, but the pull won't be as strong. You'll have the urge to protect them. You will also get jealous when some other person touches them in a way that makes them uncomfortable or in a way you don't like. She nodded her head in understanding. What's the latest update on the Rouges? She suddenly asked. They are still roaming around. Dad seems suspicious of them because there have been many sightings of them walking around the border. What if they suddenly attack us when we are least expecting it? We fight. Females and children go into the pack house basement. The men fight. I simply said. I can help. Jessica commented. No, Mom will insist on going just to keep you safe. Then Sophie and Sarah and Carly will want to go as well, but I can keep myself safe. I have magic that you haven't mastered yet, I said, cutting her off. I'm good at it. I can control my magic. Jessica pouted. That reminds me. Mom doesn't want you to levitate Carly tomorrow dinner. Like I would want to scare off my only be human sister-in-law. Jessica rolled her eyes. We headed back when the sky started to darken. The moment we entered, Dad was standing in front of us. He looked angry. Where were the both of you? He growled out. A walk. Why? I asked, slightly concerned. A walk. Your mother was trying to mind link you, and when you didn't answer, she sent out Ashton and Jake to look for you. She was almost in tears when they said they couldn't find you. Then there was the Rouge situation. She thought they killed you or something. Go to the living room right now and apologize to your mother. Dad was fuming by the end of his short speech. Yes, Father. Jessica and I bowed our heads respectfully and made our way to the living room, where we heard the sobs of our mother. If we get in deep trouble, you are to blame. You invited me to go for the walk, Jessica said under her breath. Thanks for being there for me, sister, I sarcastically say. All eyes turned to us when we entered the room. Brandon and Sophie were giving me a disapproving look. Sarah and Carly were each sitting on either side of my mother, comforting her. When my mum saw us, she rushed to where we were and began checking for any injuries. When she was satisfied with our condition, she engulfed us into a tight hug. Don't do that again. You got me so worried that I had to send Ashton and Jake out again. And with Rouges going around, it's very dangerous. Even for an alpha's son and daughter. My mom went full-out mother mode. But I've got powers, Jessica reminded her. You can't always rely on your powers. There might come a day where your powers abandon you and you have to fend for yourself, my mother said, sternly looking at Jessica in the eyes. Then she turned to me. Ashton Bryan Slade. Why didn't he answer my mind link calls her? We were discussing deep topics, I said, looking anywhere but my mother. Jessica wanted to know more about mates, so I got really carried away that I didn't hear you. Sorry, Non. My mom narrowed her eyes at me. You are off the hook for this one. But don't you dare do it again. I nodded and scurried away. I saw Ashton and Jake enter the house shirtless. When they spotted me, Jake said, Where were you? We were looking for you everywhere. Went on a walk with Jess. What made you go on a walk that it was fine to block out everyone who is trying to mind link you? I scratched the back of my neck. She was asking about mates and the Rouge problems. Ashton nodded. Did you apologize to Mom? She was a bubbling mess. Yes, I've apologized. I made myself a sandwich and went to my bedroom to amuse myself. I scrolled through my Facebook page to see what was happening. I felt a twinge of possessiveness as most of the comments I read were about Riley being the hot girl. Some boys were making bets on who would be the first to bang her, and others were commenting that they'd do her. Some said that they'd called dibs on that she was their girl. Then there were the female species who were commenting on Riley as well. They had bad gossip going around, like how Riley must have had a boob job and looked like a slut. Each comment was worse than the last, and I decided that I had enough of the jealous females. I logged out of Facebook and went to change into my pajamas. I brushed my teeth and jumped onto my bed, burrowing myself deep into the soft temporary heaven. I took out my phone and sent a quick goodnight text to Riley before I went to sleep. I made my way to my locker. The sea of students seemed to part just for me and my group. Once I got my books, I went to Riley's locker. I saw her talking to the girl who I assume is Lucy. Lucy saw me approaching and said something to Riley before hurrying away. Hey, I greeted her. Hey, Ashton. I didn't hear you come, she blushed, which caused me to smile. Gosh. She's beautiful. Ready for tonight. Grinning. Kinda nervous, she said, closing her locker. Don't worry. My dad is a calm person. At least you've met some of my family, I said, shrugging. Son, don't you mean most? She quirked an eyebrow at Mia. My family is actually living with a bunch of other people in a big house. So they are basically family. I laughed as her eyes bulged. What? Please tell me I know at least one person there, she said, biting her lip. Brandon. Sophie. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Jake, Carly, and Erin, I said, listing off the people. Erin lives with you, she said in disbelief. I looked at her amused. I think I heard a bit of jealousy in there. I nodded and she scowled. Oh, don't scowl now, Riley. Erin was such a good thief, that's why she hasn't been able to steal my heart. Unlike you, you managed to take it away in one glance. I smirked as I saw blood flood her cheeks. I opened the door and went in after Riley. I nodded at the boys and they nodded back. I faced Riley and saw that she had a weird look on her face. Do you guys have problems with greeting each other, or do you not like each other? She asked, tilting her head. Hello, Ashton, Justin said stiffly. Hey, I greeted. Riley. Can I talk to you? Jamie asked loudly. Sure. Once Jamie dragged Riley out of the classroom. The two other boys turned to me. Don't you dare hurt her. Or we will come to your house with goo. Cole cut himself off. Or we will come to your house with guys that can seriously punch. Like if want to hurt her. I fired back. Besides, I like her a lot. She has had a tough past. I don't want to get hurt anymore. Justin said quietly, almost as if he were guilty. Riley must have told them about her father. I felt jealousy bubble within me that she trusted them more than me. I won't let her get hurt. Then Riley came into the class with Jamie. She looked bothered. Her eyes flickered to mine before quickly looking away. I narrowed my eyes at Jamie, wishing I had listened to their conversation. I saw Cole, Justin, and Jamie share a look before facing the front. You okay? I asked Riley softly. She barely glanced at me when she said. Then she was silent for the whole day. She ignored everyone, including me. The only time she did talk was when Brandon asked if she wanted him to pick her up for dinner. Cole is going to be driving me there, she muttered from beside me. Something's wrong with her. Yeah, you can say that again, Carly said. Mind linking me? What happened? Sophie asked. I don't know. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Worry. This morning. She was fine. That is until Jamie went to talk to her. I wish I could read her mind right now. What do you think Jamie told her? Jake asked. I wish I knew. I groaned. Do you have a stomachique or something? Her angelic voice broke me out of my thoughts. I let out a bark of laughter. No, I don't have a stomachique. Jared, can I talk to you? Riley asked, getting up. I watched Jared silently stood and followed her out. I wonder what they will be talking about. Riley's POV led Jared to the football field. So Jamie said that you think that there are some werewolves in this school. Starting the conversation. Yup, Jared gave me a firm nod. How did you come up with that? How did you think that they are going to be able to survive without education? Jared asked. My mouth shaped to know. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Dumb moment. I also found out what a rouge. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Beta. And mates. Jared continued. So what are they? Curiosity biting me. A rouge is like a lone wolf. They are despised and usually killed on sight. An alpha is a leader. It leads a group of wolves called a pack. The alpha second in command is the beta. The beta takes over the pack if the alpha is absent or something. A mate is like a soulmate. It's like your other half. If they die, you'll feel like a ghost wandering the surface of the earth. You'll feel like dying. Some werewolves have survived that mate dying thing but aren't the same. Mates make you a really happy person. I blinked as Jared finished talking. Just the game now. Jared nodded. They'll be looking up more things. There are some people in the gang are looking for more information. But in the meantime, look out for growls and snarls. Growls. I think I've heard someone growl before. Who was it? I shook my head. I shouldn't let that get in my way of having a good year. My dad is gone. No more rules. I must have fun. Ashton's POV Ashton. Calm mind linked me. Did you hear their conversation? I asked him. No, sorry. They were too far and were talking softly. I growled quietly so that Sarah, who was sitting beside me, could hear. I blocked him out after that. Riley entered the cafeteria laughing along with Jared. I don't think I ever seen Jared smile, let alone laugh. I scowled at him and viciously took a bite out of my pizza. Chapter 23, Dinner. Riley's POV. Do I really have to have makeup on? Yes. You have to look good in front of your soon-to-be boyfriend's family, Lucy said as she applied mascara. She made sure that my makeup was light but enchanted my features. Then, she straightened my hair with the ends curling slightly. She then handed me my clothes and I went to the bathroom to change into them. Once I came out, a bright light blinded me. I blinked a few times to get rid of the dots swimming around my vision. Then I saw everyone standing in Lucy's room. Spencer had the camera in his hands and he was smiling at me. His eyes looked glassy. I looked at everyone confused. What were you guys doing? Oh, you know, our non-biological sister is going on her first date. Cole said, but then corrected himself when Spencer shot him a look. I mean our non-biological sister except for Spencer is going on her first date. Spencer scowled at the word date. Then came and gave me a hug. If Mum saw you now, she'd be very proud. He whispered and in a louder voice said, It's not a date. Ready to go, Riley? Cole asked, holding up the car keys. Yup, wait. Lucy called. I have to tell Riley something. I looked at her in confusion. What would she want to tell me? She led me out of earshot of the boys. Yes. I just wanted to say, don't get banged up. She blurted. Lucy. I shot her a dirty look. She burst out laughing. In joking, she said, wiping the non-existent tears from her eyes before turning serious. But seriously, don't. What I really wanted to say was, be yourself. That was what made me love you. And you know I don't like just any girl. She was lying. You do know that Riley isn't leaving us, right? Jared questioned. I mean, it's only a family dinner. Yeah, but it's her first family dinner in many years. Lucy snapped back. I muttered. If including my mother's death, 6. We were in deafening silence for a while. We're your family now, Dennis said, smiling softly. Now I don't know about you, but I think Loverboy is pacing around thinking you won't show up. My eyes widened. Come on, Cole, or we will be late. I looked around for Cole but didn't see him. He told me all this stuff was too mushy for him, so he went to wait in the car. Jamie called from Lucy's bed. I snatched up my phone and left the room with a bunch of good lucks and don't get banged ups. I got in the car, gave Cole Ashton's address and he began driving. If he ever hurts you, we'll be there. We are just a couple rooms away. Cole muttered, thanks. I gave him a grateful smile. We called up a huge mansion's driveway. Are you sure this is where he lives? Cole asked. Yeah. He said he lives with a bunch of other people. I said, gazing up at the 4-story home. I thanked Cole as I got out and before I closed the door. He called me. I looked at him expectantly. Don't get banged up, was all he said before he rolled out of the driveway, leaving me with my mouth hanging open. Why do they keep thinking that I'd sleep with someone so soon? I shook my head to clear my thoughts and walked up the porch steps. I raised my hand to knock, but before my knuckles met the wood, it flung open. I stumbled back as I was tackled into a hug by two people. Riley, Jessica and Mrs. Slade squealed. Hey. I awkwardly patted their backs. Then I noticed Ashton standing by the doorway looking annoyed. I gave him a smile and his features softened before they turned hard as he looked at Jessica and Mrs. Slade. You didn't have to push me out of the way. I was gonna get the door anyways, he said, grumbling. Whatever. Jessica rolled her eyes before directing them to me. I miss you so much, Riley. Where have you been? My father and I had a fallout. So I went to stay with some friends. Jessica's eyebrows furrowed. But I thought Ashton said that. She stopped talking and a look of concentration came upon her face. After a while, she blinked and muttered an apology. My father and I have been having a lot of arguments lately, I said offhandedly. What they don't know is that he was never the same after my mother's death. Riley, why don't you follow me to meet my father and some other people? Ashton didn't wait for my reply before taking my hand and dragging me to where I assume was the living room. By the way, he whispered into my ear, you look beautiful. He then took his time to let his eyes roam my body. I blushed and looked at my clothes. I was wearing a long-sleeved crop top that had the word love shaped into a heart and faded skinny jeans. Suddenly, all eyes were on me as we entered the living room. I inaudibly gulped at the attention and unconsciously hid behind Ashton. I looked at everyone's faces and noticed that some of them I recognized from school. Hey guys, this is Rai. Ashton squeezed my hand in cordially. I smiled nervously and let out a hello that sounded more like a squeak. Hello, Rai. An intimidating man stood up from a couch and walked towards us. He stopped directly in front of us. Apart from his towering height, he overall looked friendly-ish. He held out his hand and I stared at it for what seemed like hours before I realized that he was offering me a handshake. I placed my tiny hand in his much larger one and he gave it a firm shake. I'm Ashton's dad, but you can call me Taryn. Nice to meet you, Taryn. I gave him a small smile. Mrs. Slade came in and went to her husband. So I see you've met Taryn. I nodded. I do believe we've never been properly introduced, Mrs. Slade's whole denominator seemed to have changed. Please call me Haley. You'll never want to be called Mrs. Slade because it makes me feel so old. Do I look old to you? I quickly shook my head. It was the truth. She still looked young. Anyone who looked at her would think she was in her mid-20s. Hey, Rai. Jake came down the stairs shirtless. I quickly diverted my eyes. Why aren't you wearing a shirt? Ashton asked, his voice held annoyance. Shirt? Jake furrowed his eyebrows and looked down at his bare chest. He swore and stormed back up the stairs muttering something along the lines of Carly. Jessica came in rolling her eyes. Boys and their girlfriends. Am I right, Riley? I quirked my lips up. Then the she-devil came in. Erin's eyes narrowed into slits when she saw me. Riley, she hostile-like greeted. Erin. I nodded stiffly. She spun on her heels and marched off. Haley was looking in between us with interest. Looks like there will be many catfights in the future. She winked at me. Or maybe Ashton. We slowly made our way to the dining room, which was about the same size of the dining room in the hideout. We sat in the table in the middle and soon more people, both of which I recognized and did not recognize, sat around the table. I was planted between Jessica and Ashton. We made small talk while eating, and Erin, who was flirting with Ashton, was starting to get on my nerves. I did my best to ignore her, but once her hand was rubbing Ashton's thigh, I began openly glaring at it. I have no idea what happened, but her hand abruptly stopped moving and shot to her side where it stayed still. Erin's eyes wide and she glared at Jessica, who was smiling sweetly back at her. Is there a problem, Erin? Haley asked from the side of Taryn. No, Mom. Erin stuttered. Good, Haley said, and her tone was telling me not to mess with her. I suddenly jumped when I felt a hand on my thigh. It obviously couldn't have been Jessica, because that would have been creepy and weird that her hands are larger than any normal 13-year-old's. My eyes flickered to Ashton to see that he was acting like there was nothing happening. I tried to follow him and calm, but my nerves were on the edge. I couldn't concentrate on the conversation when Ashton's hand was rubbing circles on my thigh. My free hand grabbed Ashton's and intertwined our fingers. Ashton froze for a second before relaxing and giving my hands a slight squeeze. A smile slipped onto his face and I let a small one come on mine. Then I noticed everyone looking at me. What? Haley chuckled and repeated her question. Do you like the dinner? Yes, it's delicious. Thank you for having me. I smiled gratefully and I heard Darren scoff. Taryn and Ashton gave her a warning look. After dinner, I tried to help clear the table, but Haley shooed me away. She told me to go talk to people. I rather help with the dishes than talk to people I don't know, but Ashton took my hand and led me to the living room where most people were watching a movie. Wanna watch? Sure. I sat on a seat with Ashton beside me. I pretended to not take notice of the arm that went around my shoulders. I inched a little closer to him, but he hooked his arm around my waist and dragged me closer. I blushed when I was basically squished into him. Not that I mind or anything. Halfway through the movie, my phone lit up. I checked the message and saw that it was from Cole. Cole is your favorite, are you ready? I looked at the clock and saw that it was 9:16. Riles the panda, no. They'll text you when I'm done. I put my phone in my pocket and unconsciously snuggled into Ashton. I couldn't concentrate on what the actors were saying because I was too distracted by Ashton drawing random patterns on my hip. I barely noticed when I drifted off to sleep in Ashton's arms. Riley, Riley. The annoying voice called again. I cracked my eyes open and saw Ashton smiling down at me. I lifted my head off Ashton's chest and looked around to see the movie credits rolling. Then I realized something. I fell asleep on Ashton. Sorry, I quickly said. I didn't mean to fall asleep on you. A blush formed on my cheeks. Ashton gave me a lazy smile. Then I noticed something else. We were being watched. I glanced at everyone nervously and quickly muttered an excuse to text Cole. Once I sent the message, I went to look for Haley so that I could thank her. I found her in the kitchen talking to Taryn. Well, more like flirting. I cleared my throat and the head snapped to me. Is something wrong, Riley? Haley asked, concern showing on her face. No. I just wanted to thank you for having me here and thank you for the dinner. She smiled. I'm happy that you liked it. You can come over anytime. Feel free. See you sometime, I guess. Bye, I said, waving to both Haley and Taryn. I was about to grasp the doorknob to let myself out, but someone else beat me to it. My lady. Ashton held the door open for me. Thank you. We waited outside for Cole in silence. Thank you, I said, turning to him. You already said that. I rolled my eyes. I meant thank you for asking me to have dinner with your family and people living with you. I enjoyed myself. He gave me a cute grin. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. My mother has been pressuring me to invite you over. She's a nice person. I like her, I said with a sad smile on my face as I thought of my own mother. Then I saw headlights coming this way. Looks like my ride is here. Thanks again for inviting me. You can come over tomorrow? Ashton asked hopefully. I winced. Sorry, tomorrow I'm going to be busy. The gang had decided that tomorrow we would go to the mall and amusement park together. Oh, okay. Then see you in school on Monday. He gave me a heart-stopping smile as Cole pulled into the driveway. I quickly went on my tiptoes and pecked his cheek before running away. I roughly pulled the car door open and got in, but Cole didn't start the car. I raised an eyebrow at him. Are we going or are we camping in the car for the night? Did you get laid? He asked as though he was talking about the weather. You know that I don't talk about the weather. Cole scoffed. I chuckled. I must be said that out loud, ignoring his comment. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. No, I didn't. Cole pulled out the driveway and headed home. Who doesn't get laid on their first date? Oh wait, you don't know how to live. What was that? He abruptly stopped the car and was looking out the window. What was what? I strained my eyes to see what Cole saw. Did you see that? In forest, something moved. Something big was moving. Cole furrowed his eyebrows. Cole, you better not be trying to scare me. Because if you are, I will kill you, I said, uncertain myself. Then I saw it. It was fast and huge. It darted past the car and my scream was stuck in my throat. Cole and I looked at each other with wide eyes. Do you think that was a werewolf? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I peered out of the window, timid now. I scanned the forest and saw nothing. Cole slowed the car. We kept a close watch just in case we happened to get a glimpse of another one. Why do they have to live so deep into the forest? Cole grumbled. We were finally able to breathe normally once we got out of the forest. Has Dennis forgiven you yet? He has been talking to me, so yeah, I guess he has. I nodded. Good. We quickly stopped to get Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I went down the stairs to see everyone waiting. Lucy gasped. Is that ice cream? Yuck, your favorite too. Cole tossed the mint chocolate to her. Lucy beamed and looked at Dennis with a big smile on her face. See, I told you that we should wait for her to come back. But Neo, you didn't want to be a good friend and wait for her. So no, I screamed for you. What? Lucy. Dennis winced. We continued handing out ice cream as Dennis tried getting Lucy to share some of hers. We went upstairs and sat around the living room. I leaned back on the armchair as I dug into my chocolate ice cream. So how was dinner? Lucy asked, slyly. Good. Lucy pouted, needing more details. I gave her a silent look that said, tell you later. She gave me a subtle nod and asked, what did you do? I was introduced to his family. We ate dinner, and then we watched a movie. I say in between scoops of ice cream. You didn't get banged up, right? Justin asked through narrowed eyes. I rolled my eyes. Of course not. We aren't even a couple. Spencer looked at me suspiciously. Nothing happened during the movie time, right? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Logan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I was cuddled up next to Ashton and it felt great. Nothing. I nodded. Lucy gave me a knowing look as she fed Dennis a tiny scoop of her ice cream. Ben, can I talk to you for a sec? Cole suddenly asked, standing up. Sure. I left not before I made eye contact with Cole. He mouthed, I'm gonna tell him about the wolf. I gave him a short nod in reply. We finished our ice creams and went down to our bedrooms. I exited my bathroom in time to hear a knock. I padded to my door and cracked it open. Cole stood in front of me looking all intimidating, but his face held a little trace of worry. In a hushed voice, Ben went to talk to Jared. He said that he is going to share it with the others and he wants us to never be alone. Always have a gun with you. That reminds me. He found his gun in Dennis's room while you were on your family dinner thingy. I lightly chuckled at the thought of Ben accusing Dennis of thievery. Remember to keep your gun in your boot or something. As long as you can get it quickly. Okay. Okay. I got it. I waved him off impatiently. Lucy gonna be coming soon, so, unless you want to hear girl talk. Go away. You didn't tell Spencer everything, did you? Cole asked with an eyebrow raised in mischief. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What are you doing in here? Lucy asked, standing in the doorway. Talking to Riley. What else? Cole turned to her. Lucy face filled with disgust. You do not want to go there. I'm leaving. Cole rushed out, not before saying a good night and sweet dreams. Lucy closed the door looking thoughtful. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. If you and my brother had a thing going on, it would be a love triangle. Two boys fighting over the sweet. Innocent Riley. I scrunched my nose. EW, your brother may look good, but it doesn't compare to Ashton's body. Lucy's mouth fell open. So you have been late already. Lucy, be quiet. My eyes widened as I tried unsuccessfully to muffle Lucy's screams. How did it feel? Was he good? Was he like an animal? Lucy's eyes were wide with excitement. First off, I did not sleep with him. I chuckled sitting on my bed. Lucy pouted, but I ignored her. He did hold my hand and whisper stuff to me. That caught her attention. Her head snapped to me with interest. Continue your story. I want to hear more. So I told her everything. From Mrs. Slade and Jessica tackling me to Ashton walking me out to his porch. When I mentioned Aaron, Lucy began swearing and threatening. I didn't stop her because I liked hearing the death threat she was spewing out. When I told her how I cuddled up next to Ashton's side, she let out a small AWW. When I finished talking, you guys are gonna be the cutest couple in the whole school. Once you hook up, you will be the talk of the school. I groaned. I don't need attention, Lucy. I don't even want it. Well, you should get used to it because you will eventually be popular. Just don't forget us folks who cared for you, Lucy said kindly, giving me a small smile. Oh, Lucy, I could never forget any of you. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Clichet's enthusiasm. I do live with you. I hugged her and felt her arms wrap around me, returning the gesture. We stayed in that position until Lucy pulled away. Better get some sleep. Going shopping tomorrow. I can finally get new clothes. And now Dennis can help with the bags. Good night, Riley. Dream about Ashton for me. Will do. I dived under my covers and fell into darkness.